create compensation matrix, classic compensation matrix, wherein I briefed you, like, for example, if we have the rating scale, right, compa ratio, and depending upon that, if we want to decide, right, within this, we had three different options. One is related to amount, percent, and weighted. Yesterday, I showed you for the amount one. Let me quickly brief you about the percentage basis one.
Okay.
We can select whatever options we want to have. Only difference between the amount and percent goes to is
Mm-hmm.
here you can see here the whatever we are going to define, right? It's going to be, let me
In
show you the
person.
exact difference.
Okay.
In the amount one, you can see clearly it is asking for us the default currency, whereas when we opted for percentage one, it's not asking for us the default currency.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to select the same rating scale, compa ratio. Okay, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So here you can see this is asking about the minimum and maximum amount, right?
Yes.
Whereas if we talk about here, this is going to,
Okay. Percentages.
yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Now,
Okay.
similarly, if we get into weighted one,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yesterday I briefed you, like, when we talk about for the weighted one,
Mm-hmm.
right, how to calculate the min and max depending upon the factor that we have. All right.
Yes.
After that, the another query that you had that will come into picture into total value compensation matrix.
Mm-hmm. Total value in the sense like it also includes the bonus and variables, everything, right?
I will come to that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So talking about this weighted one, right? It is up to us, like how we want to use it. If you will look into this weighted one, right, and this percentage, there is no major difference until and unless we define the factors, right? Like here, normally I have selected only uh, weighted. I have selected and I have selected only compa ratio. If in
Mm-hmm.
case I am going to select any other factors, right? So here also the amount of or the numbers that we are going to put in for minimum maximum, it's going to be in the percentage basis only. Like in the yesterday in the I've briefed you, right? Like let's take an example.
In terms of the merit rank,
Yeah,
you
yeah, the
remember?
maximum is here I'm not considering the rating, right?
Mm.
That is the reason why it is not considered, not coming up. Whereas if we consider the rating as well here, like 0 to new to start. So depending upon this review rating that we have, right? Let's take
Mm-hmm.
an example for this, let's take an example for this review rating. I'm deciding something like 2 or 3 or whatsoever, right? So this will be calculated based on the max minimum and maximum. It will be calculated based on that. Okay,
Oh.
within the defined range that we are putting it over here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the major overall difference between these three. Okay, now coming back to, you had one question, right? Like, let's take an example. You have some group of workers who fall under 100% compa ratio, right? For them, you do not want to give the increments, right? Or
Yes.
salary hike. For them, it's going to be one-time bonus. So for that, mainly we create the total value composition matrix.
Where we can have a lump sum also, right?
Yes.
If- because mostly if it is all at least by 110 compa ratio, that's not a problem because we
Mhm.
are pushing them towards a promotion.
Mhm.
But if it is like there is no role, because it is illogical to have a promotion every year for an employee,
Yes, right.
right? So I feel like so most of the companies, they give something called lump sum.
Mhm.
So that is something we wanted to add, where what we do, what you rightly picked it up is like, yes, if the system is going 120 above or certain 100 and say like a threshold of 110 above, 110
Mhm.
percent and above, the
Mhm.
system should auto trigger for the manager for a lump sum. Okay, the person
Mhm.
who is rating, right, the manager for that employee, that
Mhm.
manager should get a trigger pop up saying like, hey, you're not allowed. So
Mhm.
I wanted to design how you design that in Workday.
Sorry, what did you say? Can you please repeat again?
For example, if you are a rating manager, I'm your HR, okay? You
Mhm.
wanted to rate your employee who is
Mhm.
reporting to you, and you know that that person is already getting paid above the compa ratio. He's 110
Mhm.
now, okay?
Mhm.
So his current compa ratio is 100, okay? When let's say his current compa ratio is 100 percentage, which is positioned to the market, okay?
Mhm.
And you're giving him a highest salary because he's exceptional performer,
Mhm.
okay? And you ought to give him the performance raise, which
Mhm.
takes him to a new compa ratio during the pay rise, which
Mhm.
is triggering to a 120.
Mhm.
So in the system, you have a threshold of up to 110 of an employee. If it is going 120 of the new compa ratio, the system should auto trigger you saying like, Raj, you cannot give him a pay raise. Instead, I recommend you to readjust the employee's rating, okay, like more like a force fitting, and we can give him a lump sum, and
Mhm.
that lump sum is this much for this particular job profile. So to create that, how you do that?
So see, so talking about here, we have to create different type of calculations.
Okay.
Okay, like the criteria that you mentioned, right? Like depending upon the lump sum. Let me see.
Yes, it'll be super if there is something like lump sum. So I wanted to understand it theoretically. Lump sum. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They have apparent lump sum basis.
Severance on lump sum. Yeah.
Let me open one of them and let me brief you.
Severance can be the end, right, when an employee
Yeah.
exits on a forcible thing. Let's take lump sum is taxable. Can we pick one? The one on the top? Can you check?
Returns numeric value representing earning that are lump sum taxable for T4A reporting. This is for,
Company.
they have not highlighted anything.
Okay.
Useful labor costing override in that 100% of the severance hits the HR service cost center, not the employee's default cost center. So see, talking about, let me brief you, like normally the one that we create here, right? So here
Mhm.
you can see we can define the criteria first of all.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Like for talking about the first thing that this will get automatically triggered is for workers who do not have the ratings. Okay. After that, further it's going to dig into and it is going to check the eligibility criteria. Okay. Like for what is going to be the eligible workers. Okay. Apart from that, we can create different calculations, right? Like you mentioned, like if someone is above the compa ratio or whatever criteria you want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Depending upon that or whatever uh, we can set up, right? Like what is the lump sum that we want to set up depending upon the budget that will be segregated, that will be coming. Let's take an example. This lump sum is something you want to give it through merit process or maybe
Mm-hmm.
from whatever scenario you want to give them. Maybe always it's not normally
Usually,
what happens
lump
it,
sum is given
yeah, it can be
via
through
the merit
bonus or it
process.
can be through a stock options. So it's completely up to us. But
Mm-hmm.
talking about this compensation matrix that I was briefing about, this mainly comes into picture. Let me see if in case there is other calculation that is already built up.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see this employee seniority calculation, so like normally there are so many bonus plan, right? Wherein the uh, compensation comes into picture depending upon their seniority level in the company as well, right?
But that is a rule down thing. That is like
Yeah,
a, uh,
the constant value that
why you use a
this
constant?
constant value calculation is like, let's take an example. There is a fixed amount that goes to all those specific group of people, right? So
Oh,
this,
okay, okay. For example, if it's like a mobile allowance,
yes,
1,500 means it's 1,500 for everybody. And for
yeah,
any of the reimbursement allowances, we can do this, like constant
correct.
calculation. Okay.
Okay, I'm just searching for. Normally, this is the practice one. This one doesn't have, and it will not be possible for me to create anything in this one because I was trying that yesterday to at least create that scenario. But mainly the issue was
Okay.
like in this challenge, there are we do not have the some real time data. All right, this is only for practice purpose, and people are randomly practicing it.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
that is the
So
reason. But I will do one thing. I will still try to just tell me one scenario which you want me to create. Create. So we'll do.
especially the lump sum creation, if we can try that, it will be fantabulous.
Wait a second. Let me just note it down.
Yeah.
I will try that, and
So
if
please take the
possible,
time. There is no rush. Even we can tweak in our forthcoming classes. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. So just let me note down. Let me
there are
just
like,
create one lump sum, and I can show you like how normally it's work.
yeah, and also there are like certain things in European Raj where we have something called structural increase. I don't know whether India is having such payroll processes where we give a structural increase. I remember while I was working with in one of the big firms in India,
Mhm.
I have implemented structural increase back then. It cannot be humongous. Okay, I will give you the exact scenario of a structural increase. Under the compa ratio, there are like somebody who we call it as outliers, right? Who are typically a green circle employee below the compa ratio circle. Okay,
Mhm.
you remember I gave you a scenario like if a person
Yeah.
is given below the compa ratio, as a compensation manager, I discuss with the HRBP and their business lead, and I have a discussion saying like this person is particularly under the compa ratio. What is your plan? Are you increasing it? Because it's giving a pay disparity, and we also give them a remuneration aspect for them to choose if the person is really good to go for an increase or not, the manager will decide based on the employee's performance and also the employee's seniority, tenure, and everything. If the person is closer to the retirement, we tend to give him a lump sum. Okay. When no, the person is really good, performance is also good, then we'll try to give him a structural increase.
Mm-hmm.
Structural increase to just scope up, not exactly to the 100. If we have a budget, we'll try to close it and position it to a market of 100, or we will take, if we set a 70 with the compare ratio, which is terribly low, we try
Yeah.
to pitch in like a structural increase is not like a very big increase, but it will be like just like a high touch, just like on top of your 3% of merit increase, you also get one more percentage of structural increase based on your performance. And if
Normally,
you're somewhere,
normally talking about this scenario, I have come across like mainly in a company there are many workers that we have. People are of same level, but the difference between the employees' compensation is not that huge, but there is a difference, right? So for
exactly,
mitigating that, so normally we call that as a market correction, like within any company, like you mentioned about big four companies, right? So like previously I've observed like they internally do that, and it is not mandatory that it will be a part of merit cycle. Sometimes it will be the part of that, or sometimes they will do separately in between
actually
some
you're
of the cycle.
200% right. It is not,
Yeah.
it need not be part the market correction. Yes, the current word you picked up is right, but because I'm so used to call it as a structural increase since we
Mm,
do it like every year on year. And the thing is like, we do the correction, it, as you rightly said, it need not be part of the merit, but
mm,
we ensure that we make it a part of the merit because
mm,
we want to use the budget wiser.
mm,
Okay, for example, you're having 10 euros as a budget to
mm,
distribute among your team, and I wanted to, and I have a budget constraint. And equally, I wanted to potentially give a structural increase for my high performer and keep them with the trade, right? I give the same 10. Instead of 10, I'll give you 11 and
mm,
ask you to make it like, sound it like you're giving something at the same time not giving.
mm,
That's the dirty politics we have in the organizations of Big Four.
mm.
And
Yeah, I will give you an example of Deloitte, right? They pretty much like, let's take an example. They hired someone initially, and that specific employee's compensation was low, right? Depending upon the compar issue that they have. So they do not do at the initial stage, but once the worker works there for around 6 months or 1 year, once they complete, they do the market correction. That's what normally they call it in Deloitte. That's how I'm aware about it. Okay, and they do it, and
more, it's
yeah.
not just Deloitte, okay? Because I know like Deloitte is one of my merit partners I work with, but
Mhm.
I also all the big four companies like in even in Cognizant they do the same.
Mhm.
Okay, they will give you, if you're an entree employee, they hire you much lesser than the market ratio, and
Correct.
after 6 months of your entree level, as you're excelling, they will push you within the 6 months. They will give you a rise, and we
Correct.
call it as life cycle corrections.
Mhm.
And not majority of the employees will get to know about their corrections.
Correct.
And correction is also not humongous like how you get as a merit or a promotion cycle. It will be just like 1 or 2% of increase, and still
Mhm.
sound like an increase. It's just like an eye
Yeah.
wash.
And what they normally do is slowly and gradually they try, like not in a one span of time, like slowly and gradually. If in case someone is very low with respect to the compare ratio, then it, like you mentioned, like the increment will not be that much huge, but it happens quite number of times just to get at the right stage of the compare ratio.
Exactly. And especially in manufacturing in companies like Caterpillar, they'll give you like this, especially for shop floor workers. Okay, they have a
Okay.
blue collar and white collar, and they do the similar aspects of structural increase there.
Mhm.
So these are the realistic scenario where European companies, they do it majoritively. And I feel like Indian markets are pretty generous in what we give compared to what I see here.
Yeah.
It is pretty dirty, and I am asked to do the dirty corrections just to save the money for the company. So that
Correct.
time I need to be very flexible for my management board while I bring them like, hey, this is what a calculation looks like, and you just seek the approval. So I wanted to give that realistic scenario for them.
Hmm. Mainly talking about the advanced compensation, like the setup that will happen in your company, right? So mainly you'll be having some third party company, some Workday partner company, or some from where you will be getting support, right? They will be majorly doing that, right? Because you alone cannot do it, or you
And
will.
the Workday support team will be helping us on certain things.
So
I'm not
they will be
understanding.
helping, but talking about like entire designing, like how things will happen and everything. So who's going to do that?
It is us. It is going to be completely us. We have to do all the math because we have to go get to know about the company. It's not easy peasy like how you do it in Indian markets.
Okay. So you will have a good team with respect to the compensation, like who will be
Yes.
doing designing and everything and all.
Absolutely. I myself in a director level, and I have my VP partners with me, and I have my subordinates who will be reporting under me, and we all
So
do it.
your major role will be more towards the designing part rather than talking about the configurational aspect, correct? Is it? Or
Absolutely. That's the thing. I will be designing certain allowances plan and compensation plan, and I have to produce policies and procedures. That's why I'm getting paid, dude. So that's
Mhm.
part of the job. So yes, this is what I wanted. So that's why I keep pulling you back, saying like, Raj, I need something to design because
Mhm.
that is more implemented. I will not be doing this
Yeah, so
administrative.
that is the reason. See, I'm
That's why
trying to give you more insights rather than getting more into the configurational aspect, because I understood like you will not be doing this configuration part, whereas you should have a better understanding like whatever you want to do, how things will happen in the system, right?
absolutely,
Because
absolutely.
once you design everything, after that configuration part is something that the whoever will be the workday team members from the advanced composition model, they will be doing majorly.
Absolutely, because my team, I have a reportee of five, okay, and my reportees will generally take care of the administration part.
Mhm.
But I'm going to be front ending my team, saying like,
Mhm.
guys, we are not going to do this way. Let's implement on structural increase. I'm
Mhm.
going to give the such plan like, okay, we have done the benefits plan like this. If say like if my company is doing terribly, it's literally sulking back in target achievement, and we need to cut down few benefits. I
Mhm.
wanted to do run a benefit utilization report, and I
Mhm.
say like where I can do the cost cutting for the company and still
Mhm.
look lucrative by giving non-monetary benefits. And how I do it, I have to design, and that designing part I have to implement in the HCM because I see that as more like a mind mapping tool, interconnects with all the payroll and other structures for the employees. So that's why I asked like how we do the job catalog, because workday Workday is a tool I never been with, and
Mhm.
unfortunately the European market big companies, they're getting into the Workday tool. I've been sulking around with all the SAP success factors, so I pretty much know like what is what in SAP success factors, and I can build it because the years of development I have done in that. But with Workday it is like getting terrible and terrible day by day, because I felt it's like, maybe it's because I just made my projection like it's not user friendly from the
Mhm.
day one. So that's why I have the what is it x, like how I'm going to do. So as I have a training with you, right, you
Mhm.
teach me, like you have taught me certain aspects. You actually broke up my fear, actually, thank you for that.
Mhm.
And you told me the simplest aspects of how to do. So that's why I wanted to ask ideologies from you and help me consulting on in a better way so I can implement that at my work.
Yeah, correct. See, talking about, if I'm not sure how you had the first impression with respect to Workday and that way, but I have worked initially in the SAP, right? I didn't get a chance to work in Success Factors, but I have worked in SAP. But
Okay.
when I moved from SAP to Workday, it was completely different. In whether you talk about the UI or the uh, the way things are designed in Workday, it's way easier and simpler when compared to SAP. I didn't get a much chance to get into success factor, but I know success factor and Workday is pretty much same. But still, if you talk about the UI and the other aspects, I have heard from others. I will not say from my side because I didn't get a chance to work towards the success factor, but I've heard like Workday is much better. Whether we talk about from the security point of view, I have heard from most of the client like the security aspect of Workday is much better when compared to other ERPs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. because we are in the part of the initial integration part, right? We are
Mhm.
still as a company, and Europe wants a very simple straightforward methodologies, okay?
Mhm.
And if like multiple steps, they're going to mess it up big time. And
Okay.
my and especially with people, especially in Germany, Germans
Mhm.
want it like ABC, just like your IKEA manual, okay?
Okay.
Have you seen your IKEA manual? If you gone into IKEA in Hyderabad or
Yeah,
anywhere,
yeah, yeah.
their manual is very picturestic and simple.
Correct.
It's just they wanted, and these people are pretty used to go with the observatory mode and take into
Mhm.
emotional decision making.
Yeah.
So Workday is full of logic, and their emotional decision making gets contradicted. So that is where the mess happens. So most of the
Yes.
Europeans, they feel like Workday is pretty tasky and more brainy for their brain. That's what they feel actually.
Correct. See, main the issue is like what I have observed is in my experience, normally the clients, right? Normally they what they expect is they like if they want to get everything done, but they do not want to follow the best practice that is there from the workday side, right?
Yeah.
There are some like I have come across multiple like clients like who have had major issues with respect to security aspects, right? Just because they didn't follow the best practice. Similarly, for different modules, there are some best practices. When we'll talk about the client, right? They want to automate everything. Okay,
Yes.
that is something which we can understand, but there is a limitation that we have at multiple stages where things are not possible that the way they want. But this many a scenarios, what happens is they become adamant. No, we want it in this way. So we pull up some workarounds, right, and try to get things done as per their way. But when the company expands or whenever there is a major changes that comes upon in picture at the later stage, that thing, the workaround thing that doesn't work.
Absolutely, because here, having known the European minds, right here, where I speak with my management boards, they always have a global expansion always running in their mind. Okay, and
Mm.
especially if it's a public listed company, the trouble is too much. For
Yeah.
example, my public listed company, all these years, I have worked in few private sectors where
Mm.
in private sectors, the pre-IPO sessions, they were not in IPO, they are a public list, private listed company. So there, the shares handling, the stock handling is pretty easier. Okay, but
Mm.
once if it is a public listed company for stock plans, you will be getting a cash entitled every quarter as your RSUPs and VSOPs getting exercised. Okay,
Okay.
such case it will be a troublesome.
Mm.
Okay, I need to have a tracking, and I always ensure like not to integrate shareworks with Workday for security reasons. I don't want
Mm.
that to be appearing for random employee in my people team itself,
Mm.
because it's not necessary for office management team to know about some employees thing, because for people team, everybody, even the office management, even a HRBP or a recruiter would be knowing who is getting what, because we all have the access of Workday people management team. Okay,
Okay.
so I don't want my people management team, other than the total rewards team, I don't want anybody to know about
Mm.
others stocks. That is a GDPR issue. Okay,
Okay.
and that's the reason I never wanted, I always sat on the topic like never to integrate both, not to have an API, but my leads wants that. Okay,
Mhm.
so just because, like as you rightly said, they wanted everything to be automated, they don't want to waste their time. To them it is more manual. I feel like that is more security, that
Yeah,
always.
I have come across scenarios like wherein the issues that comes up because of the automation, it's around a few times in a year, but still they want to automate it.
Yeah, especially they wanted, if they are having a global expansion, yes they do.
Yeah. Because
And
in Workday we have multiple options, right? Like let's take an example. If I'm not automating anything, if in case any new employee comes into picture, he or she might not be aware about like how things done. For all those things, Workday has given us option, right? We can add on some help text wherein we can clearly mention the steps, like what exactly they have to do, how they have to follow things. So all those things are available in most of the scenarios, but still.
because now they wanted my job catalog, what we are working on Workday, everything to
Mhm.
be automated. That's why I brought in yesterday, like, hey, we have two new job positions that
Mhm.
coming up, and say like we are expected to create some literally like 20 job positions, which is totally new for my organization itself.
Mhm.
Nobody has worked in the previous, and we have to write from the scratch. We need to design their job descriptions. We just got it from their managers, who themselves are not clear about what whom they are going to hire. Okay,
Okay.
so such position, and I'm expected to do an automation for such positions. So that's why I asked like how you do the job catalog in Workday, and you
Mhm.
like this what you like our initial initiation call. You have to do it through the compensation range. You need to do that
Yeah.
positions.
Okay. So talking about this calculation that I was briefing, right? There is one interesting thing about this calculation that we have. So if in case, let's take an example, I have already initiated the compensation review process, right?
Okay.
But still I have an option to edit this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I can edit this and there will not be any impact in the ongoing event that is already there in place. So whatever changes I will do here, it will automatically reflect there.
For example, say like the person's it's an amount type, right? And the calculation is 15 percentage. The 15 percentage will be on top of the base,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
And the system will say like, for example, an employee is getting 100,000 euros, and it
Mhm.
will be 15 percentage of their 100,000 euros can be their merit.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Right. Let's take an example. It's an ongoing event and I want to change it to 10%. Okay. Or I got some additional budget. I want to make it 20%. Right. If in case I update it to 20%, automatically in the in progress event,
This is
right?
irrespective of the rating.
Yes.
Okay. So it is logically like similar like a lump sum if you're
Yes.
okay
Right.
again with the conditions of comparatio, but
Yeah.
okay, this is like, oh yeah, we can give something like like some employees if they are having done extra, okay,
Mhm.
irrespective of their thing like retention bonus,
Mhm.
50 percentage as a default retention bonus, or
Mhm.
like joining bonus for few employees, we can do
Yeah.
that.
Talking about this compensation matrix, this is not only limited to merit process. Okay. Merit cycle. It can be linked to stock. It can be linked to bonus. All these three advanced compensation plans that we have.
Yes, and also part of it can be also it also can be linked to your allowances, right?
No, normal allowances you're referring about, it cannot.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Now let us go back and let's look into the compensation bonus plans.
Hmm. Next week when we touch upon the stock plan, right? I
Mhm.
want to have like two scenarios for me. One for a public listed company where employees can view their stock prices, which keeps fluctuating based on a public listed company. Okay. Post IPO companies. And one plan for a pre IPO company. I want both.
Okay.
So if at all you wanted, we can have the session even on Tuesday. So I can just share you the plan for you, like an outline. So I can just share it with you. And if you can give me 1 minute, I can just explain at the end of the call. Okay.
Mhm.
Prepare.
Okay. So talking about bonus plan, it is of two types available. Normally amount based and percentage based.
Okay.
Okay. Here again the compensation element. I hope you remember this is mainly used for the linkage between the payroll and the compensation part. Okay. So we can create the compensation element like whatever bonus plan we are creating and we can add on over there.
Okay.
Okay. We have already looked into apply FT percentage. Okay. This reflects only for amount based. Okay.
Okay.
Now talking about this options, some of the options we have already looked into, like talking about allow target override. If in case whatever target amount I'm putting, right? Let's take an example. If I'm putting as zero, okay, I want to override that, right? Because I do not want to set up any specific amount over there. I want to decide based on the other factors. So it's completely up to us. Okay.
Okay.
Hide target from security group. Like if in case I want to hide, I have mentioned the target and I want to hide it from any specific security group. We have that option. We can update that.
Mhm.
Again, reference currency, reference frequency. This is something we can look into. After that, we have company funding scorecard. Okay. So this is something which mainly determines the funding of the target bonus pool that we have. Okay. Let's take an example. We are in the compensation review process. Okay. Wherein we look into like what is the company performance, right? And therein what is the specific bonus pool that we have,
Okay.
right? So we can add the scorecard to that specific bonus plan, and depending upon the like whoever will be qualifying, depending upon that, they will be getting it. Okay, let's look into some of the scorecards that is available.
Yeah, and I also would like to understand. There are like few scorecards in our company. We have a balance scorecard, like how we are going to show. Okay,
Mhm,
the weightages of the scorecard, which is summing up to 100%, right?
mhm,
We did an experimental of a scorecard based scenario for target achievement. Okay, where we got every year we come up with 5 goals or 7 goals. Okay,
mhm,
and we say like as a mid-sized company, this was something when I have worked in a startup firm. Okay, which is
mhm,
like it's more like startup to a scaling up range of organization of 1,000 employee, and
mhm,
their expectation is they had a company scorecard and each of the goals with the weightages, right? 25% say like 5 into 25. Okay,
mhm,
sorry, 4 into that is, let's have 20% each. Okay, and
mhm,
it has been split into totally of 5. Okay, so
mhm,
they are asked to get 20% of their target achievement for particular one particular business unit. For example, bringing up new products. Okay, it is
mhm,
that is particularly one of the goal. Okay,
mhm,
and who brings the product? We have a products team, which is one of our business unit. Okay, one of our job function. Their major
mhm,
thing is to achieve the 20%, which contributes the overall 100% of the organization. For
mhm,
people team, for us it is always the ENPS score. So we need to ensure that the employee net promoter score is to be achieved at a 20%. Okay,
mhm,
so we strive only towards that goal. So we are all going to collectively at the end we are going to contribute for the overall 100% of the target achievement by individual, by each of the job functions, ensuring that we achieve the 20% towards a collective goal. Okay, in such case how you do?
So normally you mentioned like if in case we have different goals that is set up, right?
Mm.
Like weightage of the goals, correct?
Yes, we have a weightage of 20 20 20. Say like we have
Mhm,
5 job functions. Each
mhm,
of the job functions are relevantly given 20% of weightage as their
mhm,
overall target goal.
mhm,
This is their part of the goal, although their individual performance goal is 100%, which they are going to
mhm,
work. But their overall target achievement contribution for the company's balance scorecard is 20% out of the 100. Okay.
mhm,
Likewise, similar other 4 teams along with the fifth team will be achieving each of the 20 20 to get a target of 100. Okay.
mhm,
For example, at the end of the result, right? Say like for ENPS score, the people team really sucked. Okay. And
mhm,
we were able to underachieve only at 10 percentage. Okay.
mhm,
So during the time of the budget allocation for merits,
mhm,
we will be given contribution the budget only at a 10 percentage, whatever the achievement is, that is what will be given to that particular department
mhm,
to just part around for their thing. We do this top down approach,
mhm,
more like an agile budgeting planning, where we
mhm,
give it for each of the, for example, for CHRO, we give that budget based on their achievement. Okay.
mhm,
And the individual people, right? The management team like CFO, CHRO, CCO, for example, for commercials and sales, we have CCO, and we have
Mhm.
CPO for chief of product and chief of technology. Each of their management boards, they will be given based on their percentage of targets achieved out of the
Mhm.
100. That will be not equally distributed. That will be commemorated and calculated with their 20 percentage of their achievement. Okay, if they are achieving 20 percentage, they will get the entire amount of what it's worth of a 20 percentage full target. Okay, but it is like they are achieving under like 10 percentage, they will be given only the 10 percentage worth of the budget, and they are ought to give irrespective of the headcount they have to pull down. Okay, or and that is when we also retain and we have a layoff by pulling out few people, and we utilize that particular layoff amount to utilize for the internal merit plan. That gets deeper and deeper, but in such cases, how you distribute that.
So
Can,
normally talking about, you mentioned about different group of people, right? So
yeah,
normally that in that scenario, first of all, what we do is because different group of people will have different uh, goals, right? Within that. So
yeah.
normally for different group of people, here in the bottom you can see there is an eligibility rule.
So
Okay.
we do like functional wise. Let's keep it simple, like job function. I have to just put it as an eligibility rule of job function.
Yes, it's completely up to us, like in whichever way, if you want to put it up as a management level as well, rather than going into the job profile level, because in major scenario, what happens is it goes based on, because in one company there will be thousands of job profiles. But if I talk about management level, there are going to be minimum less number of management level. So it's completely up to us, like in which way we want to proceed forward. But majorly talking about the bonus plan, it goes towards the management level, but it differs from company to company. In some companies, I have seen it goes on the job profile level as well, and a combination of both as well. It's completely up to us. So we can define like whoever will be eligible for this specific bonus plan. Okay.
Okay.
And for that respective people, you can see the scorecard here. Let me open this. Right. You can set up, right?
Okay.
What is the weightage? Like you mentioned, like there are five different goals and they have different weightage. All
Okay.
right. So
I have,
depending upon that weightage, the bonus amount will be calculated. Okay, let's take an example. If someone achieved 100%, they will get the 100% of the bonus target that is there.
okay. For example, I'm just coming back to my example itself.
Hmm.
So my company has decided to give based on the business job functions, each of the job
Hmm.
functions weightage of 20 percentage, which
Hmm.
contributes to 100 percentage of the company's targets.
Hmm.
Each of the individual job function departments performance,
Hmm.
they will get their budget for utilization of their bonus plans, right? For
Hmm.
bonus pooling, and this is the budget for it. So example, if the product team is severely, say like the product team's headcount is 200,
Hmm.
okay, and not every team has, for example, a finance team, the overall of the FTE count also matters when I'm distributing the budget. Okay, you get me?
Hmm.
While I'm doing
Hmm.
the budget for the bonus pooling, I will not, for example, my technology team under the CTO organization, although they are going to achieve 20 percentage, the 20 percentage on top of their FTE also matters. So they will not be getting similar of a 20 people headcount with that of a 200 people headcount. Okay, for a
Hmm.
people team of a 20 people, although you achieve 20 percentage, you will be multiplied with the 20 FTEs of the 20 percentage, and you get the budget pooling, right? And
Hmm.
typically for a 200 people, even though they are achieving at a 15 percentage of their target, under achieving their target, right? They
Hmm.
still get 15 percentage on top of the total FTE headcount.
Hmm.
And then only they get a bonus pooling. How you have the distribution here done in Workday?
So normally that is something which doesn't happen here, right? When we'll look into the uh, composition review cycle, there I will brief you like how we set up the pooling, right? And how we segregate that.
Okay. But here it will not happen, right?
Yeah.
This is just for a
Here it's mainly about like you have to mention about like what that plan is specific about, what are the group of people who is eligible, what is the scorecard that we are setting up. But talking about like budget and everything that comes into picture, that will come into the uh, competition review cycle time.
Okay, okay, got it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Now talking about, we have plan modifier scorecard. Okay.
Mhm.
If in case if I want to modify the target, right, of the scorecard, right,
Mhm.
this, let me, you can see here, if in case I want to make any changes to the targets that we have already in place, right,
Okay.
for different scenarios, or with respect to different locations that we have,
Mhm.
right, like within one country there will be different what do you say,
Yeah.
different states. Like if in case within respect to that, if in case I want to make any changes here, they have kept it the same, right? So in that scenario we can set it up that as well. Okay, in the uh
Location wise, right?
yes,
Offers wise of weightages. Okay.
correct.
Okay.
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 Now coming back to the bonus plan. So we have already looked into the proration rule and the rounding rule, right? This is for set up for the uh, rounding of the amount that comes into picture.
Plan modifier scorecard is something what you do, mentioned, right? Or the
Yes,
company. Okay.
correct. Apart from that, rest of the things remain same as in we have looked into the previous plan. Okay, if in case this is for something like in the allowances plan as well, we looked into like if in case we have multiple eligibility group for the same plan, like let's take an example, we have the same plan, but the group of people that is going to be eligible, right? It's going to be different. So we can create a different eligibility rule. They all will be, let's take an example, management level of manager. Okay.
Okay.
But within manager, there will be like you mentioned, one is related to product, one is related to other. If in case with respect to that, I want to set up a separate target amount and currency, right? I can set up that. Okay.
Okay.
If in case we want to consider the performance factor as well, okay, we can choose from here, okay, with individual performance factor or multiple factors if in case we are having multiple different factors.
Okay.
Okay, deferred bonus we will discuss at the later ranges, so this is of not that majorly used. Okay, so that's all we have in this, right? uh, do you have any idea about this trenches that is there? Have you heard about it?
Usually we do it as vesting tranches while we do the stock options. For
Okay.
in long-term bonuses, we do it, but I haven't done it in cash value. Okay, as per my understanding, for multiple target years, right? For most of the
Yes,
people,
correct.
we not pay pay it in a very say like we have something like this. Okay, for a management board, uh,
Mhm.
as per their contract, their variable pay, uh, say like 100 percentage of their 100 percentage of their base salary is their variable pay, just because they are a
Mhm.
management board. They have multiple year of target where out of the 100 percentage, 50 will be their deferred compensation and 50 will be their variable shares.
Mhm.
Okay, and in the deferred compensation, whatever the amount that will be given, that will be paid out in tranches. For example, for 2020, for 2023, the target achievement, say like a CFO is getting paid around like 93,000. Okay,
Hmm.
the 93,000 is the target achievement for 2023, but it has
Hmm.
1 year of waiting period for them because we have that as a law. Okay, and that will be paid out to him after 1 year of waiting period, effective from 2025 for him. No, the 1 year of 2023 to 2024 is the waiting period, and from 2025 it will be paid. The 93 will be divided into 3 or 4 times of the tranches and will be paid in individual installments. Right? That's what you say.
Correct. So that can also be the scenario. Another scenario, what can be is, let's take an example. There is a bonus plan which he is eligible for a year, right? Like normally, but we want to give him the bonus as per maybe on a like
Installment basis.
quarterly basis. So anything can comes into picture. So whatever you said is right. We can
Sign
decide here.
works
We
like this.
can, yeah, we
Referral
can
bonus.
mention like whatever percentage we want to give and whichever number of times that we want to.
In that case, reference bonus also helps. Okay, if an employee is going to recommend one of the new employee who is
Mhm.
whom he refers to, right, he gets a referral bonus once the person who he refers gets selected or passes his probation. So
Yes.
we pay them in tranches. Once the employee cracks the interview, we pay them like 20 percentage of the referral, and the
Mhm.
rest will be paid in tranches for the referee in every installments. Once, for example, if the employee has passed his probation, he'll get the final amount. Okay, whoever
Yeah.
has referred that particular candidate for a company. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.